Hello, everybody, and welcome to Getting Inside the Right Male Mind. I'm Lisa Shield.
And I'm Benjamin Shield.
And we have an amazing topic for you today that we'll get to in just a minute. But first, I just want to say a quick thank you to everyone who's joining us live or watching us later, either on my YouTube channel, Lisa Shield, or listening to my podcast, Dating Without Drama. Please rate and subscribe to both of those. It would mean a lot to us. We'll put the link in the show notes where you can find this episode and catch up on our past episodes. If you are joining us live and have questions or comments about our topic today, please type them in the chat below. Benjamin and I will do everything we can to answer them a little later in the show. Okay, on to our topic. This topic comes to us from our listener, Cosette, and this is what she wrote to us. So basically, I'm being told by my family and friends who are around me that I cannot and should not pursue a love life right now because I need to deepen my spirituality with God and with the relationships I have around me to make those relationships a bigger priority for the time being. They wish I would go to college and be successful in having a career. I understand that they don't want me to obsess about something that is not yet here, something that does not exist. And yes, I agree that we shouldn't obsess with something that does not exist at the moment. And yes, I also want to be successful in getting a career. But I feel that they are missing the point, that I am sad, lonely, and that I don't want to live the rest of my life single. I think they would like to see me have that one day, but not now. And I don't know what that means. How long is the right now? I feel as if I have to live according to their timetable. When I am with these people, I feel alone. Even though there are so many people around, it's still possible to feel like the only person in the room. Does that explanation help? Feel free to let me know if I need to add more details. I think we got it, Cosette. And then she added, have you ever seen the musical Les Mis? I'm choosing the name Cosette, which is not her real name, for my anonymous name because she grew up as a lonely child and she imagines a castle in the clouds where everything is perfect. And Cosette is 28 years old, just for the record. So I really think that this is a wonderful topic. Honey, I'm curious what thoughts came up for you as I was reading that.
Well, first, I think it's clear that there's not an either or of having a spirituality with God and being in a relationship, particularly with the relationship we seek, which is being a guardian of your soul or having the guardian of being of someone else's soul. So being in a relationship can actually enhance that spirituality with God and the people around them.
Well, there is nothing more spiritual than being in a loving partnership. I often explain to the women who go through our program, our 12-week emotionally naked dating course, that this is the ultimate spiritual path, finding love.
Yeah.
Because love or unconditional love is synonymous with God. So they're really one and the same things. When you read the Bible or many other spiritual scripts, or you look at many spiritual paths, they're teaching us how to get to God, which is really another word for unconditional love. And so what could be more spiritual than that?
Right. And almost every spiritual practice, if not every spiritual practice, the end goal is love.
Yeah. And love really is everything that the Bible and that all spiritual paths talk about. In fact, it is spirituality in action. It's kindness, it's patience, it's compassion, it's selflessness, it's forgiveness, it's gratitude. In order to have a guardian of your soul relationships or relationship, you have to master the very principles of being on a spiritual path in order to coexist harmoniously with a partner.
Yeah. And all those qualities that you mentioned, it's difficult to cultivate them in isolation.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's with a partner. And after you and I, we've been together more than 20 years now. And not only has our love increased for each other and for ourselves, but our careers have blossomed, and our spirituality with the divine has blossomed as well. So all of these things couldn't have been done if you and I were sitting in our own rooms single and just wishing we had relationship.
Well, and for me, if I would speak personally just for myself, babe, my career didn't flourish until I met you. There was something missing in my life because in my family, I never felt seen or heard or validated by anyone. I got a lot of criticism. I had people projecting their stuff onto me, but I wasn't nurtured and encouraged to be my own person and to find myself. And so some part of me was missing. Something inside of me didn't know who I was. And then when you came into my life 3 months after meeting me, when we met, I had an importing business. And you were the one who looked at me and said, I think you should be a therapist or a coach. And I asked you why, and you said, well, you may have been passionate about importing at one time, but the more time I spend with you, the more I see that all you talk about is personal transformation. And so I believed so much in you and what you were seeing, and I respected you so much that I sold my importing business to an ex-boyfriend. And I enrolled in coaching training, and that's how this whole career path started for me. I would have never, ever, ever had the guts to do that if it hadn't been for you. So my partnership with you has been the guiding light in my life that has helped me become the woman I am today and has helped me find the courage and the strength to do the things I've done in my life.
And I feel that as we lift ourselves up with mutual love and self-love that develops because of that, that it also lifts us up closer to God.
Mm-hmm. It really does. I also think that when I was younger, most men were told not to get a woman pregnant, not to get married, and to pursue their careers. And their families felt like they were investing so much money in their educations and all that they encouraged their sons to not jump the gun and get their careers underway and all, and sow their oats, have some fun before they got married. But there's a big difference for men and women. Huge. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that, babe.
Well, I think it's important to look into the future and see what you really want the future to look like. Do you want the future to look like that you have a successful career, but you're alone at age 45 or 65 or beyond? Or do we want to see that future with someone who we've grown closer to day by day, year by year? And as you said, that having a beautiful relationship isn't exclusive of having a career. Your career started at the beginning of our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it can help and support the growth in every aspect.
But let me pause you for a second, honey, because for a man, it is in many ways true that he does need to get his career solidified and that he does need to get the stable ground financially and all beneath his feet. But women have a ticking time clock. Cosette is 28 years old And those years between 28 and 38, where it's dire if she wants children, those are crucial years. And if she's not having any relationships in that time, if she's really just focusing on career, that's where we see so many women today becoming masculine, losing their femininity, their career focus. They become, the boss, and then they're giving orders and they have teams underneath them, but they lose that feminine edge. And then the men that they really want to find them attractive, by the time they're in their mid to late 30s, they're already in that place where they're not feminine. They haven't been dating. Some women I speak to have never even had relationships. And then they think, oh, I'm just going to go out and find a husband.
Right. And like it's a magical process. And what we teach in Emotionally Naked Dating in the basic 12-week course is really that it's love isn't necessarily by chance. It's not a Disney movie. It's not a rom-com. It's something that we have to be focused towards and working towards and create clarity so that we know not only what we're looking for, but what the deal breakers would be. So we're not settling once again if we've been in a lot of failed relationships.
Well, and if there's this fantasy that you're just going to meet somebody, a prince with a glass slipper, and it will fit and you'll fall in love and live happily ever after. And we all know that 50% of first marriages end in divorce. Many women may not be aware that 67% of second marriages and 74% of third marriages fail. And so this isn't something that we magically figure out. And not only that, you don't want to go through 2 or 3 marriages only to finally be in your 60s or 70s and say, oh, okay, now I figured it out. Yeah. You want to learn this early on. So you have to have experience in the same way that you need experience in your career to become an expert. You need relationship experience in order to choose the right partner and to have a healthy relationship. And if you push that off, it doesn't get easier the older you get. Not only that, the women I meet who do push this off, many of them start to feel stigmatized. They start to feel afraid because they're in their mid 30s or late 30s and they want kids, they want a family, they want to find a great partner. And then they think, oh my gosh, I'm competing with all the younger women. And in many ways you're going to set yourself up for failure, because when you're in your mid to late 30s and you first start looking for a husband, men know at that age that women are desperate and they're going to want to get married and start a family right away. And a lot of men, they want to meet someone who's younger so that they can enjoy time with her and not feel pressured to have to marry her and start a family immediately.
Yeah. And we don't advocate relationships for everyone.
No.
There are some people that are, really aren't looking for a relationship. But if someone says that they're sad and lonely, desperately lonely, that they feel like they're the only person in the room, even if there are people around them, then it would be tragic to go through life like that.
Yeah.
And what makes people lonely also, if they want relationship, it's difficult to be in social situations where everyone has a partner. And again, we don't advocate that everyone has to have a partner at all. But for those people that really want it, those are the people that enter our Emotionally Naked Dating course, people that truly, truly want partnership, want the type of relationship we call the guardian of your soul relationship, then it would be tragic that we get in our own way to prevent that from happening.
Right. And also, if you wait too long, you're going to make poor choices out of desperation and because you want a family. And it's not a good way to actually choose a partner. Because I know it's very hard because it sounds like there's nobody around you who is supporting you. And it's hard to go against our families and the people around us. It's also important for you to follow your own heart and to listen to your own inner wisdom and not just do what your family says just because that's what they're telling you. You can have a career and a wonderful partner. You don't have to get married right away. And if you do it in a healthy way, you can still enjoy having somebody to spend time with and get to know. And you can take it slowly and have both. There's no reason in the world. There's millions and millions and millions of women who are married and have children and also have careers. So it isn't something that you should push off if this is really what your heart's desire is. I know for me, I wanted a partner. I wanted to find love more than anything in the world, above and beyond anything. And it didn't mean that I didn't have a great career. I have a fabulous career and the greatest guy I've ever met in my life. So I'm sitting here saying to you that you can have it all. And it did take me some years to figure this all out. This just didn't happen for me. I didn't just get lucky. There was no luck involved in my relationship with Benjamin. There was nothing in my life that I worked harder for than this. But it was worth it. It was worth everything I did to find him. My best advice to anybody who really wants to have it all, and there's this, I'm going to digress for a second. There's this idea here that you can't have it all. Like you can't have the career and the husband and the family, which is ridiculous. It's crazy. In fact, when I was growing up, it was really the first generation where we were taught to put our love lives on hold and that we were able to because we had birth control and we had free access. That I was the first generation that had the pill and had ability to have control over my own body so that we could put off marriage and children and all. Now that's also in jeopardy. I'm just putting that out there, that is also in jeopardy, that women are not able to have as much control. And this is dire. This really is something that is dire because we're between a rock and a hard place. We don't have as many choices as we had when I was younger. But the problem was that we were lied to. We were told that we could have children later in life and that it would be fine. Wait until your 40s and have a baby when you're 40. Well, that just medically isn't true. When you hit your 40s, you're already starting perimenopause. Most women are in their late 30s are going into the very, very first stage of perimenopause. And it's not so easy for a lot of women to get pregnant in their 40s. And so many women bought into this idea that it was okay to keep pushing this off. In fact, I just read something fascinating, which I am astounded by. Many women during the pandemic started having their periods earlier.
Interesting.
Isn't that fascinating? At age 9, women were already starting to get their periods. And this is something that they're seeing as common, as common. So it wasn't just a few women. This started happening. And I read it I think in the LA Times recently, that this started happening during the pandemic. So things are not what they seem. Nothing is constant. Nothing can be relied on. And even women today in their early to mid 30s are having trouble getting pregnant for many, many reasons that are not completely understood yet. So if these are life goals for you as a woman, listen to yourself. Listen to your heart, your desire, right, babe?
Yeah. And as a man, if we go on a date, we want a woman who appears that she could be playful and fun. And playfulness and fun comes with practice. It's not something that is suddenly a switch. It comes from dating, learning from each date. As you say, every date is a stepping stone to true love. And so, particularly at age 28, one needs to go out and sit across from a man and learn about men and be playful with men and learn to be emotionally vulnerable and to how to create vulnerability for the man. And that comes with practice. And so if someone is really wanting relationship, it's not like, okay, I'm ready for a relationship. Let's let it happen. It comes with step by step, you know, dating, understanding ourselves, what we want, what we don't want, who we are, who we're not, and getting that clarity. So when we sit across from the gentleman, at the table, and we look into his eyes, we know that this may be the person we want to spend our lives with, and we're ready. We are ready. We are ready to have fun. We're ready to be emotionally vulnerable. We're emotionally to share that bond where not only do we share our lives together, but we share our spirituality, and everything grows because of that.
And I really want to put it out there to everybody that there's a big lie, there's a lot of myths when it comes to finding love, but one of the biggest is that we're looking for fireworks.
Mm-hmm.
And what this does is it means that we're looking for that special feeling. Oh my gosh, I met the one it was so different. It was amazing. And all of this over the topness so that we don't have to actually do the grunt work, like the going on dates and taking down our walls and actually getting to know somebody. We're just going to let hormones and chemistry do it for us. The problem is those relationships usually do not last because they're not based on anything real. They're just based on hormones. They're based on chemistry. And so we fall victim to this idea that we're just going to meet somebody and we're just going to know. And the truth is, you have to learn how to do this.
And we have to learn how to date as an adult.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of us, if we're thrown into the dating world, we might revert to the projections, the feelings, the drama we had when we were in junior high school. And that's not the way to find a partner.
Not a good partner. And especially if you're going to have children together and build a family, you want to learn how to get emotionally naked and how to be responsible for your own emotions, your own happiness, how to show up whole and happy and as an adult in a relationship. Yeah, I agree. We would love to hear questions from any of our listeners. If you want to put those in the chat, we would be happy to answer them about this topic or any other topics. I'm curious if anybody listening has gone through this. Denise said, I bought into the idea and now I'm 43.
Oh,
yeah.
Denise, I'm so sorry. And at 43, it doesn't prevent you from having love. You have that many more years of wisdom and clarity that that it doesn't elude you now. It may be even more accessible, particularly with getting more clarity of what you've settled for in the past, what you've given up, and what you're going towards.
I think it's so important just to underscore that other people are going to project their ideas onto you. And what I know is that there are so few examples of truly healthy relationships in the world. Most of us have never seen good examples that we can look to say, that's what I want. Maybe there's a grandparent or an aunt or uncle, or maybe somebody at work that has a really amazing relationship. But so few of us, many, many women, have never even seen a relationship that they would want for themselves. And you have to consider the source, Cosette, of the people who are projecting all of these restrictions, these limiting beliefs onto you, because those people themselves may not have healthy relationships. And so they may be wanting you to limit your relationship experience because they're trying to protect you from what happened to them. And I'm guessing if these are older women in particular, your mother and some women of her generation, they may have felt trapped in marriages and felt like they didn't have opportunities. And so they're trying from the bottom of their hearts to protect you from being trapped in a bad marriage with children and not being able to live your dreams. And so I'm sure that in many ways they mean well, but if you do it right, you can have it all. And I do urge anybody who's in a situation like this to hop over to lisashield.com and click the button to watch our free 45-minute presentation and see if there's some wisdom there, if you can get some tips by looking at the presentation. Also, hop on a call with us and we can help you. We've worked with several women who have been in a similar situation, and they are now in loving, happy marriages because they worked with us and they didn't let their parents hold them back and the people around them, and they just went for their dream. Yeah.
There's the expression, you could live with fear or you could live with love.
Mm-hmm.
And living with fear means that someone is afraid that if you do something, if you go forward with your love life, if you go forward with relationship, that there's the fear that you're going to be missing out. And coming from love means that you're running towards something rather than from something. You're running towards love, towards relationship, towards partnership, towards spirituality, towards support in each other's career.
Yeah. I couldn't even I wouldn't want to imagine what it would be like, honey, not to have had these last 20 years with you. This has been the most magical part of life, has been sharing it with you. And the truth is, everything that either one of us has ever done in these 20 years, being able to run to the other and say, oh my gosh, this happened. Or last night when we were driving to dinner and you shared about the patient that you saw at the end of the day and how lovely this man turned out to be, how fascinating, and what an amazing human being. And you would have had that experience and no one to share it with. And all of the wonderful things you do in your work, the miracles and the people that you help, how much joy we both have being able to share all of that together. For you to come, since we moved to Santa Fe, you're seeing the most interesting cases and you're able to help so many wonderful people, but we get to celebrate that together. And I couldn't even imagine doing all of these things in a vacuum, right?
We couldn't.
We couldn't. And then we not only share it with each other, but then we take that joy back into our work. And then it just becomes magnified and multiplied because, even the two of us here doing this podcast, I mean, how beautiful is it that we can even just spend a Sunday together sharing this? I mean, we could be doing a lot of things right now. I get to look into those gorgeous eyes of yours, those kind eyes, and see that beautiful smile when we do these broadcasts, and I get to hear your wisdom. Yeah, so we have a couple of things here. So Heidi Christie said, thank you for this talk today. I'm restructuring my love life now, and it's challenging. I just turned 48. And Heidi, I'd love to know what's challenging about restructuring your love life. Are you coming out of a relationship or a marriage and starting over again? What's new for you? And a Facebook user wrote, agreed, dating as an adult is different. We don't have our whole lives ahead of us. No, I am surprised at how many men are emotionally closed. They are living in the past and still reliving the hurt that some woman caused them years ago. That is sad too. They need to move on. My goodness, crazy the time that people spend on past hurt.
Right. Very wise. Very wise. Yes, it holds us back. And one of the best ways to release past hurts is to really find our way into a healthy relationship. And those past hurts they're still there in the picture. But I think so often I think of life like a single lens reflex camera where you can focus. And those things that have been in the forefront, those hurts, we begin to focus the health in the forefront, and those hurts go well into the background.
Yeah, and men don't get help. They just don't. They've been conditioned as boys that it's weak, it's not masculine to ask for help, and that big boys don't cry and suck it up and act like a man. So many men feel that it's a sign of weakness and they just internalize their pain. And then they go out on a date with a woman who's kind and a good listener, and they start pouring out their hearts. And they think that this is in some ways what women want to hear. They think they're getting emotionally naked, but they're just dumping. And nobody really, if you're smart, you don't want that. You don't want to be somebody's therapist or healer or teacher. If you've done your work, you want a man who's done his work. So it's important to date and be willing to go on quite a few dates. I actually, many of you may know, went on 96 first dates before I met Benjamin. And in our 12-week emotionally naked dating program, I do a process with clients called Your Final Five, and we help women get clear on what the 5 must-haves are. They're not 5 things they pull out of the sky. They're 5 qualities that they must have in a partner now. And one of my final 5 was that I needed a man who had done his psycho-spiritual work, not just psychological and not just spiritual. They're 2 different things. They're not the same. So somebody can be very spiritual, but not have the psychological wisdom. And somebody can have done some psychological work, but still not have the spiritual wisdom. I was looking for both. And it's so important to find a man who really has the qualities that you're looking for and is an adult and can have an adult relationship with you. And Benjamin had both. He had done both parts of that. But yes, it is sad. There aren't as many men. There are men who do it. and you may have to be willing to go on more dates to find those guys, but they're out there if you look for them. So the older you are, the more difficult it is to let go of your life and step ahead. Fear is a huge blockade. And that's from Laura Dash. It is. It doesn't have to be that way, Laura. I was reading a post that I had written on Instagram that had gotten a whole bunch of hits. It was on my 60th birthday, and I was reflecting on how I got to where I am. And I remember that I made a very conscious decision that I saw so many people doing exactly, so many women doing exactly what you wrote here. The road would get narrower for them. As they got older, they accumulated more hurts, more rules, more regulations. And so their lives became smaller and narrower. And I made a decision that I wanted to become more open with as I grew older. I wanted to let go of more fears. I wanted to let go of more of my beliefs so that I wasn't being restricted by all of these ideas and these rules that I made up. And so I wanted the road to get wider instead of narrower. And that's been hugely helpful in creating the life I have today. I think I become more open-minded. What about you, babe?
Oh, clearly. Clearly, our worlds, being in a relationship means that our worlds become larger.
Mhm.
And so many people feel that if they get into a relationship, their worlds are going to become smaller.
Mhm.
They say, well, relationship is about compromise. It's, and relationships are hard. It's not true. It's
Mm-mm.
not true at all. It doesn't have to be about compromise. I've never felt like I've compromised. And I've always felt that you've given me 100, 200%. And I get pleasure of giving you 200%. And it's never about compromise. It's never about, if, I'll limit my life to make yours better. It's never been like that.
Well, and the other thing too is we were at dinner last night and you shared with me about a wonderful escapade that you had when you were younger with a woman that you met. It was pretty crazy, very crazy story of an unexpected boyfriend showing up early in the morning. And we laughed and laughed and laughed. And we also commented, or I commented, on how so many women would be upset if you shared a story like that with them. And I was just happy to know that you've had this rich and full life and that you feel safe sharing everything with me, literally
Everything.
everything. There's nothing you couldn't tell me about any of your past loves and relationships and all. I'm just happy that you've had a full life and that you've enjoyed every moment of it and that I get to share this part of it with you.
Yeah. And we not only can share our past, but we can share our future vision.
Yeah.
What we want, what we're looking to do, and how we can support each other in doing that. That's what a guardian of this soul relationship is. It's knowing the other person even more than they know themselves and seeing their soul's journey even clearer than they can see it and supporting that journey wherever it may take them, and that there's a fear that, oh my gosh, if that person's soul journey diverts a little bit, there's going to be a rift in the relationship. Not true. Exactly not true. It brings people closer to have that support of our soul's journey.
Can I tell you, I came up with a whole new definition for guardian of your soul relationship.
Please.
A guardian of your soul relationship is when your husband has soft water installed in the house, even though he hates it and he feels like he can't wash the soap off because he knows that your hair gets brittle and dry, and he wants you to have pretty hair more than he wants to not feel soapy. I thought that was you being a guardian of my soul.
It's being a guardian of your soul when you said, boy, I haven't had this Candy Charleston shoes in like years and years. And I have this craving. I can't find it. I went on Amazon immediately, and a big box came yesterday.
In 3 flavors. Strawberry, which I have no idea why they would make strawberry Charleston shoes. So let's look at some more comments and see what's going on here. Okay, so Jana wrote, I will be 50 coming this spring and have learned to love life being single. I have learned to let go of the dreams of having a family and being married and learning to enjoy what single life has to offer. I am getting to know men and going out on dates and having fun. I do have lots of dates. And honestly, I think my attitude towards enjoying my single life is attractive to men. The single life can be wonderful too. It's your willingness to accept it and make the most out of the opportunities.
Perfect. We absolutely agree. And the only reason we're having this podcast is for those people who really want relationship. They want marriage. They want a family. They're of an age that is possible, or that has passed, but they can still find what their dream is, which is that guardian of your soul relationship. So if you're happy being single, if you're going on dates, you're enjoying men, you're enjoying your single life, that is great. We would do nothing to discourage that.
And one of the things I would add to that is, I think what has happened is a lot of people who are single or have found themselves being single, what we would call involuntary singles, women who really do want love and partnership, have felt stigmatized because they can't find it. And so what's happened is there's a lot of women there are women, I'll say, who start to glorify the single life. Almost they're trying to justify it and say, well, it's okay to be single. And they make a whole thing out of being single, which is fine. Nobody's saying don't be like, if you are single, you should enjoy every stage of your life, whether you're in a relationship or you're not or whatever. The goal is to be happy and not base your happiness on being in a relationship or having a man. Having said that, it is very important to acknowledge if finding love and partnership are really important to you, those are worthy goals in life. And if you're not achieving those goals, it's not about beating yourself up or feeling bad. Go out and get help. Find people who can help you, who truly have the relationship you're looking for and can be great role models for you. Go watch my 45-minute presentation. I think you'll learn more in that 45-minute presentation of value than you're going to get from reading most dating books and sitting and watching YouTube video after YouTube video. So please get help and find guides who can lead you to the love that you're looking for. And while you're single, enjoy that time too. Enjoy the time with yourself. And I love what Jana wrote, enjoy that time, show up on dates as a confident, positive, open-hearted woman who loves herself and her life and is open to the possibility of meeting a wonderful man to share it with, but who isn't desperate to fill a void or put a photo in a picture frame just because she can't live her life alone and feel good without a partner. True? All right, everybody. I want to thank you so much for being here. I have a very special phone call coming up in about 15 minutes. I want to share something amazing. Talk about relationships and beautiful connections. I actually have a pen pal that I have been writing to since I was, oh my goodness, probably 12 years old. He's from Leicester, England. And I found him. There was a little ad in the back of an Archie comic book, and it said, send in your name and where you live and your address, and we will match you up with a pen pal. And I have been in contact with my pen pal, Mark, since I was probably 12 years old. We used to write about rock and roll music back and forth. He introduced me to David Bowie or David Bowie and Yes, and all kinds of British rock bands. And I introduced him to some American rock bands. And he is wonderful. I've visited him twice. He's come to the US twice. And we haven't talked in a long time. So the three of us are going to jump on a phone call in a few minutes, which I'm very, very excited about. We just want to thank everybody for being here today. Thank you for your comments and for your questions. And we would also, again, encourage you to go ahead and go to my website, lisashield.com, and click the button to watch the webinar and let us know how you like it. Also, please go to podcast or write to us at podcast@lisashield.com. Email us with your questions and suggestions. We just want to keep this short and clear and concise. So, write your questions, but always be personable, okay? And remember, it is important to send us your questions. We want to thank Cosette so much for her question today. It was a wonderful question and very unique, and something I think many women are going through. You're not alone. So please do that. Rate and like this podcast. Give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Please subscribe to me on Instagram. I post all kinds of unique content there. You'll find me at Lisa Shield Coaching. And I think that's it. Thank you for joining us. We send you so much love, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.